I would like to make it clear that this is just my tutorial with my opinions, and by no means should you follow everything I say exactly. You are free to create OCs however you want to, and don't let any jerks on the internet tell you otherwise. Anyways, I'm going to walk you through the process that I use to make Warrior Cat's original characters, with less focus on design and more focus on story. So, how exactly do you go from no story to story? Well, it doesn't seem easy, but that's because we're looking at the big picture. When you make a story, you can't just start with major characters and themes and symbolism. You sort of have to start small and gather building blocks to make a character. Don't worry about incorporating every idea you have into the story, but be sure to keep track of them. Think of as many interesting characters and events as you can, and the beginning of a story should eventually create itself. For example, the most recent characters I created actually came to me when I was thinking up scenarios for my Warrior Cats Would You Rather video. Anyways, what you want is a list of unrelated events like these ones. Now, imagine that these events are in the same universe. If you want to see how I do this, you can watch the Would You Rather video and pay specific attention to the characters that appear multiple times. What's going to happen is that 1, you are going to become attached to certain events, and 2, you are going to start creating and becoming familiar with the characters in your story. So, the 2 events that ended up standing out to me are the gathering and the catch. The mentor-apprentice relationship is really apparent in these scenarios, and it's something I want to develop further. So, let's make a couple characters. Here is the mentor and the apprentice. Notice how right now I haven't even chosen names or designs yet, just colors. This is because I want their names to represent them, so I am choosing to mold their personalities first. Now, I did choose colors because of the emotions that I associate with them. Anyways, the next thing you want to do is make sure that the major events you chose connect well. These connections can be described as parallels. Essentially, if you want your story to have an overarching theme, you need to find a way to make different events in the story connect in meaning. Admittedly, the Warrior books themselves aren't really good at this, but there are a few notable examples. The most obvious example is definitely how Graystripe's Forbidden Romance was related to Blue Star's Forbidden Romance. However, connections are usually subtle. A good example of this is the relationship between Dovewing and Bumblestripe. On the surface, it just seems like another pointless love triangle, but when you think about it deeper, it actually connects to other events in the story that initially seemed unrelated. Take the relationship between Dovewing and Ivypool. Why is Ivypool upset with Dovewing? Well, Ivypool hates that Dovewing's life is so simple and easy, while she has to suffer in the dark forest to get stronger. Back to Dovewing and Bumblestripe. Dovewing gets annoyed when Blossomfall says she should love Bumblestripe. Why? Because Blossomfall thinks that love is so simple and easy, while Dovewing has to risk her reputation every night to see the cat that she loves. Both of these situations involve one character getting upset over another character that is avoiding the fact that life is incredibly complicated. So, what we get is an established overarching theme of the complexity of life against our natural desire for simplicity. Several other events will connect to this idea. There is the complexity of Cinderpelt and Cinderheart's body when Lionblaze is just trying to simply love her, and there is the complexity of defeating the Dark Forest when StarClan just wants to simply close themselves off. There are more connections to this theme, but I think you get the idea. Now, a completed story can establish multiple themes, but that's just an example of one. So, looking at these two scenarios, what I find in common is the fact that both of them sort of deal with the choice between following the warrior code and doing what you feel is right. So, there is conflict of whether or not to trust your instincts, and we could also have a theme about preserving happiness. Now, once you have an idea of how the events connect, you are going to want to start deciding what the central conflict for your story is and how you plan to resolve it. There are many ways to do this, but this is what I do. I choose a main character, give that character a flaw, make that flaw cause or elevate some sort of problem, and finally make the main character solve that problem by acknowledging the flaw they have and overcoming it. For this story, I chose the mentor as the main character. Her flaw is that she is overly strict and doesn't value the joys of everyday life. Her heavy criticism of the apprentice's catch, among other examples, will make the apprentice sad, and the apprentice will eventually get to the point in which the warrior code is enforced so strictly that he hesitates to break it to stand up to a bully. The apprentice decides to fight the bully anyways, and the mentor scolds him harshly again. So, we get two examples of how the mentor's strict behavior is harming the apprentice. Then, we need a problem to arise because of the mentor's behavior. So, the apprentice is going to run away from the clans. Through this, the mentor is going to realize that her way of teaching is wrong, and she is going to find the apprentice and bring him home, owning up to her mistakes. But that story is not complete. We need more. Introducing motivation. Whenever you make characters, you want them to have reasons for why they act the way they do. It really makes your characters feel more passionate and alive. Right now, we don't know why the mentor is so strict, we don't know why this caused the apprentice to run away, and we don't have a strong enough reason for why the mentor tried so hard to bring the apprentice back. So maybe the mentor had to suffer through a food shortage within the clan when she was a kid, and that made her concerned about the importance of training and hunting. Maybe the apprentice actually developed feelings of affection towards the River Clan apprentice who was being bullied, and the apprentice ran away with the she-cat, believing it was the only way to give the she-cat a better life. Finally, we could have the mentor have a deep desire to be deputy so she can lead the clan to be more hardworking. She freaks out when the apprentice runs away because of her reputation. She will then realize that her motivations were selfish when she goes to find the apprentice. All of these new details will help me think up new scenes where they can be explained. The idea is that I will keep adding scenes and details until the story feels complete. So, once you have enough events, you are going to need to find a way to finish the story up. This can be accomplished by adding stakes and symbolism. Stakes happen when something is either being lost or at risk of being lost in the story. The happiness of the apprentice and the reputation of the mentor are already good stakes, but there is one more thing I want to add to give some power to the message: death. Now, death is never necessary for your story to be emotional or meaningful. But when it comes to Warriors books and the fanfictions inspired by them, death is used very, very frequently as a way to easily progress the story. So I will show you how I add death to my story. One of the themes of my story is preserving happiness. I want to extend that to be about preserving happiness even when you know it won't last. So, the cat who will die is going to be the River Clan apprentice that the Thunder Clan apprentice likes. Death is a serious subject, so whenever you put it into your story, you really want to make sure that it connects to your theme well. Otherwise, it could lose its meaning. I am going to use it as the ultimate contradiction to the mentor's logic, which will end up tying into the moral of the story. The mentor is going to realize that in all the time she was worried about the future, she looked past what was going on in the present, and now the present is slipping from her paws. And to add a little tension to the moment, the RiverClan apprentice won't be dead, but dying as a result of ongoing health issues and because she wasn't in RiverClan camp with a medicine cat nearby. The mentor is going to have to help the apprentice through the most traumatic night of his life so far, while simultaneously valuing the short life that the RiverClan apprentice has left. So that should make for a notable climax. Finally, before I finalize my characters, I need to add some symbolism. Symbolism helps take an abstract concept and make it easier to understand. A good symbol for enjoying the present would probably be flowers. I could add a moment in which the mentor is talking with some cat from her clan about her training methods. The mentor could say that it is pointless being nice to the apprentice because it won't help him be stronger in the future. The cat could respond by simply stomping on a flower and saying that with the mentor's logic, flowers will be pointless because they just die in the winter. The mentor's apprentice would later end up being worried that the mentor wouldn't respect the RiverClan apprentice because she is dying. But the mentor is able to connect the RiverClan apprentice to a flower and gain new empathy. The mentor could even add the flower suffix to the RiverClan apprentice's name before she dies to show her apprentice that she understands. The RiverClan apprentice was fragile and beautiful like a flower, and she should be valued for the short life she has, even though she will soon be gone. Similarly, the mentor realizes that she should have let her apprentice enjoy his time while he was still carefree because the death of the RiverClan apprentice will forever hold a burden on his emotions. Okay, that's my story. Obviously, I would throw many more minor details in a completed story, but this video is already long enough, and I still need to give these three cats names and designs. The apprentice will be Flakepaw to represent that he is unique and special like a snowflake. Also, it matches his white fur. The mentor is Sandy Fern. I gave her that name because she is gritty and imperfect, but growing nonetheless. The RiverClan apprentice will be Silverflower. I already explained the flower part, and the silver part sort of represents her value. Also, silver might make you associate the character with Silverstream, which will sort of make you understand her easier because she does share some similarities. Now, fur designs. I would categorize fur designs into three groups: realistic, semi-realistic, and not realistic. The Warrior books use a mix of realistic and semi-realistic. As for fanfiction, it's completely up to you which designs you go with. The worst thing to do is to pretend that there is a set of rules that you need to follow. Of course, there are a few general things that you should be aware of, like avoiding an overly complex design or a color palette with too much contrast. But for the most part, if it looks good to you, it's fine. For these three, I will do one design from each category. That concludes my tutorial on making Warrior Cats OCs. I hope that was helpful, and remember, these are just my opinions. If you would like to see more examples of OCs, go check out round 1 of Warrior Cats OC Battle 2 right here. In that video, I talk about 10 OCs from you guys that I found enjoyable.